How you doing, folks? Welcome back to another episode of Hot Takes with your host, Marcus. And we've got a lot to catch up on as in the last week has been very eventful in the NFL and the NBA playoffs, which has started. So we're going to start off with the NFL and the trade rumors surrounding one Julio Jones. Now, the graphic you see here on the screen, it's just a hypothetical, as it says there, hypothetical trade possibility. In all honesty, I don't think this is going to happen, mainly because the Kansas City Chiefs have already reworked their roster and their cap to the point where I don't think there's nothing they can really do with this at this point. I mean, seriously, it's gonna cost more than those three picks. Like you're talking about Julio Jones here, one of the greatest wide receivers in NFL history, and probably one of the most consistent. He's probably the most consistent wide receiver I've seen probably since I would say Andre Johnson for the Houston Texans. He's probably the most consistent wide receiver I've ever seen since Andre Johnson. And like again, I said this is hypothetical. Personally, I think that he can end up on a team like Baltimore. They're crying for wide receivers, and I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm saying they need to get Lamar Jackson someone to throw that ball to. And they also got to find a way to protect him now because they traded away one of the best offensive linemen in the league to Kansas City, which is still baffling from the trade, from the draft. That was confusing, but fine, whatever. Another team that could probably use another veteran wide receiver that's looking to compete and possibly win, the Seahawks. They could use somebody opposite of DK Metcalf. He's looking to win. So a team that is up and coming very fast, though I don't see it happening, will be Arizona. I don't see them being able to pull all that together. I mean, personally, I think that a good move right now, given that there's a lot going on in Green Bay right now with them being unsure of who the quarterback is going to be because Aaron Rodgers to this point has decided he's not coming back to Green Bay. And we don't know what that entails exactly. He's been very cryptic as he usually is. He's not answering anything directly. He's giving you the most runaround answers possible to not give you anything directly. But I think that if I'm the Green Bay Packers, I go all in. And I say that because you've already drafted last year. You got Jordan Love, and you went up and drafted him in the first round. Whether he's ready or not isn't the point anymore. They brought in so many camp arms. Someone's going to have to start this year. And if I'm them, fine. I drafted Jordan Love last year to replace Aaron Rodgers eventually. Well, we're going to have to expedite that a little bit. I go ahead and make some calls, and I go ahead and I mortgage my future at this point because if you're going to go with Jordan Love, which they probably will, surround him with as many weapons as you possibly can. He's already got Adams. You know what I'm saying? He's already got Jones out there. I say you go ahead and get him Julio Jones to add to that. Okay, get this kid as much of a safety net as possible while your defense is still pretty good and you have a shot to win. It could be one of those situations where you don't necessarily need the best quarterback. You just need the best situation. Add Julio Jones to that Green Bay Packers team, and you got probably the best situation for a young quarterback going into his first year taking snaps in the NFL. Now, there was a rumor that he could be going to Dallas, which is still not out of the question. But though I don't like to give this kind of reference, on FS, it was not FS1. It's Fox Sports Network. On the show Undisputed with Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp did recently it looked like a cold call. I can't say, but regardless, they had a little conversation live on air, and Julio knows he's out of Atlanta. They try to go about this the right way and keep it under wraps, but unfortunately, it got out. And, it's now public. It was going to be quiet, but everyone already knew that he was going to be traded at some point in the very near future. We just didn't know how or where he was headed. We still don't know where he's headed, but now that it's been made public, it's blowing up. And unfortunately for Atlanta, this might have cost them in draft capital because now that everyone's fully aware of this and it's all in the media, there's going to be a mad dash for him. And they're gonna be able to. They're only gonna be able to take the best package available. They've been trying to get a first round pick for him. I doubt they'll get that, mainly because of his age, not because of his health, because he's been relatively extremely healthy throughout his career. He's been very consistent, as I said before. They were looking to get a first round pick, maybe a second round pick, maybe in the same draft. I doubt they're going to get a first round pick anymore. But if the right team, Green Bay, is desperate enough to give up a first round pick, then he's as good as theirs. Also, whatever team gets him is getting him on almost a dirt cheap contract because of when they're going to trade him. They trade him after the first of I think it's June. If they trade him after that, it's either June or July. I can't really remember. But if they trade him after that deadline, his cap hit is going to be less significant. So pretty much you'll be getting him for less than some of the best young receivers right now. This is Julio Jones we're talking about. Like, he's one of the best. So any team that gets their hands on him knows they have one heck of a weapon. And he's still got some really meaningful ball left to play in him. But speaking of Green Bay, there's a lot going on. And Aaron Rodgers, like I said before, his future is still up in the air. What will he do? Will he get traded? Will he retire and become the full-time host of Jeopardy? Which, honestly, at this point, I'd rather see him, take over for Jeopardy because he was entertaining. But this is another trade scenario. This is just a possibility. This is the team that I have him going to personally. I have him going to the Denver Broncos. Only because, not because they have the most they can give, which they kind of do for Aaron Rodgers. And also it makes the most sense. If you know anything about his background, I believe his wife plays professional soccer in Colorado. And they also have a home in California as well, which is why at some point the San Francisco 49ers were actually on the board here too. But I think Denver is the best place for him to end up. I think the Broncos would probably end up having to give up more than this, considering that he just won the MVP last season. I think it's going to cost them more than a first and a second round pick. Now, this is the right amount of picks, but I doubt they're going to. I don't think the Packers are going to want Drew Lock. And Bradley Chubb, I'm sure they'll take Bradley Chubb. Of course, who wouldn't? They may get these picks, maybe not these exact years, the 2022, 23, and 24. But that is about right for his talent level, regardless of his age, because I can see Aaron Rodgers in the right situation. He can play well into his 40s. He could be another Tom Brady. Maybe he won't have the ring count, but the league is predicated on protecting the quarterback. So as long as they're protecting him, they're going to be just fine. And I think Denver is a really good spot for him. The problem is when they mortgage, like I said in the last episode, when you mortgage your future like that, you limit your team's ability to get better in a hurry. Now, if Aaron Rodgers does go, now here's the upside to that. Aaron Rodgers ends up in Denver. Fine. Well, now you have an all-time great quarterback in Denver. Receivers, veteran receivers, are going to flock to go play with him no matter where he goes now. So now he's attracted more players. Now you got players later in their careers who have still got some pretty good ball left in them, want to try to win a championship. Now you got Aaron Rodgers here who's still playing at an extremely high level. There you go. You got a team. Now, is his team in Green Bay any good? It's absolutely great. He did great last year, and the team only got better. The problem is with Aaron Rodgers is, and this is true, he is a bit of a diva when it comes to getting his way. He's a bit of a whiner, but I mean, everyone's got their woes, It's not like anyone's perfect. But in this situation, I understand where he's coming from. The Green Bay Packers management did not do right by him. It wasn't even about the Jordan Love draft pick, even though it didn't help. It's about the fact that they refused to move into the 21st century or into the current times and actually, Aaron Rodgers is not just any football player. He's their franchise football player. He is a league superstar. So the least they can do is they can talk to this man about what they're going to do in the draft, the offseason, the coaching situation, players who are going to be on and off the team. At least acknowledge him, talk to him first, and they refuse to do any of that. And honestly, when you think about it, take the millions and millions of dollars off the table. Put yourself in any position. No matter what job you work, they always say that they value you as a part of the team, and they want you to feel like you're included. Now, how included are you going to feel if they start making decisions without you and expect you to just kind of roll with the punch, regardless of how much they pay you? Like, you're invested in this too. you should at least have something, even if they're not going to take it but so serious, you should at least be made to feel like you have some say. At least talk to them, No one will want to stay there. Personally, I know this is me. I can't speak for anybody else. But if you're paying me millions and millions of dollars, I don't really care about the money at this point because it's the principle of the matter. If I sign a contract for $100 million and 65 of it's guaranteed, okay, I got the majority of my money. I'm not worried about the money at this point. Part of this is you're paying me like a superstar. I expect to be treated like a superstar. Before you make any serious roster moves and adjustments, just talk to me. I have no control over what happens next, but let me know what's going on. I shouldn't wake up the next day and find out that my quarterback's coach, whom I have a great relationship with, has been fired unceremoniously. If I'm asking for a wide receiver in the draft and we have an opportunity to get one, I would like to at least, be informed. Okay, we heard you, but we're thinking this. We're going to get you a wide receiver. It may not be in this draft, yada, yada, yada. Talk to the man. At this point with Aaron Rodgers, it's about the principle and nothing more. And if the Packers aren't willing to do this, he's out of there. And like I said, I got Denver being his number one landing spot. A second landing spot, it's a stretch, but, well, Detroit did just trade for Jared Goff, and they've got a little bit of draft capital too. Now, I don't know how much they're willing to part with that. If I'm them, I'm not willing to part with it, but it's an off shot. He could end up in Detroit, and that would be unfortunate for Jared Goff. But hey, stranger things have happened in the league. So another thing that has happened, and it's been a bit of a hot button, and I'm glad I kind of waited to see what happens, and we're still going to see how this develops. But Tim Tebow is back in the NFL apparently as a tight end. And I don't know how that makes anyone else feel about it. I'm a little perturbed, mainly because the man has not played football in 6 years, not taken a snap in 9 years, and when he was given the opportunity with the Jets to switch to tight end, he refused. And even when he did try to run a little bit of tight end, like in practice or scout team practice, he was terrible from what I understand. So now that's not to say that he can't play the position at all. Personally, I think he's going to be in Jacksonville. As it says right here, he signed a 1-year deal worth just under $1 million. None of it's guaranteed, and it's going to be an injury split. So if he does make the team and he gets injured, he doesn't even get all of the money that's right there on the contract. This is nothing. And personally, I think this is more of a way of Urban Meyer, the new coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, bringing in one of his guys. And, it's like a power move, Everyone knows Tim Tebow cannot play quarterback, so now he's going to be playing tight end. Well, I don't think he's actually going to play the tight end position. If he does make the team, I think he's going to be more of a gadget play guy or, third and goal, fourth and short on, whatever the situation is. They're going to make sure the ball gets in his hands. He's going to run, and if he does throw a pass, it'll be like a jump pass like he used to do in Florida. Here's a good thing. Here's the pros and the cons of picking up Tim Tebow for this team. The pros, you have someone who is a polarizing figure. And the good news is, so even though Trevor Lawrence is the first pick of the draft of this past year, so ever since Tim Tebow has been in the news about Jacksonville, going to Jacksonville, playing tight end, we've heard nothing about anything going on with Trevor Lawrence. They've shifted all the attention to another player, another polarizing figure. That's a good thing because now it's going to seem like there's less pressure on Trevor Lawrence to win right now because he's going to have a rough time. I mean, he's going to be a starting quarterback. This is already known, provided nothing happens to him in mini camps, so that, no one's worried about any of these things. I don't even know who the second quarterback on the team is. I think they let go of Gardner Minshew. I wish they hadn't, but we'll see what happens. Tim Tebow is a positive because even if he doesn't necessarily start, which I don't expect him to at all, he's a good guy to have in your locker room. He's a polarizing figure. He's a good guy to study with. He's going to be, a great leader in the locker room, and that's great for that situation. The problem is, and this is about that locker room, him coming into a situation where he's never ran a route, he's never caught the ball, he's never played the tight end position. He can't block like one. I know that for sure, unless he's been doing that on the side for the last 6 years and we knew nothing about it. there's going to be a divide in that locker room at some point where you have guys fighting for the guys who have been playing the tight end position their entire lives from high school to now, trying to make this team. And he's being given an opportunity that he didn't even deserve, nor did he even, he's never even considered it. Back when he had the chance to, he poo-pooed it. So it makes no sense for him to get this opportunity now, except for he knows people in high places. Urban Meyer was his coach in college. So, of course, that's his lifeline back into the league. But at what cost? They're going to alienate some players on that team. Guys who will and will not make the team the same. Another negative to having him on the team, again, it goes back to the whole being a polarizing figure thing. Now, instead of people wondering, how the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be this year, are they going to be any good? Are they going to be middle of the road? Are they going to be terrible? Everyone's looking for Tim Tebow. Tebow this, Tebow mania. He's going back home to Jacksonville where he's from. That's all fine and well. Sure, whatever. The biggest thing about this is, and I have to applaud Shad Khan, the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, about this is he's putting butts in the seats, because now that the world is opening back up, they're gonna have fans in the stands again, and you're gonna sell tickets because the hometown hero is back. That's what that was really about. In my opinion, this whole thing is about ticket sales. Because you can't, you got to think about it. Jacksonville doesn't have the most winning culture in the world, so, and they don't have, they don't have a long history of winning. So when you look at it in retrospect, they got to put butts in the seats. They got to sell tickets. They got to sell jerseys. What better way to do that than bring in the hometown hero? That's ingenious. I have to give it to Shad Khan for that one. Regardless of that, I don't have any graphics for these other players I'm getting ready to mention, but, just recently we heard that Justin Blackmon, another former Jacksonville Jaguar who has not played since I believe 2013, he's getting ready to possibly make a comeback, and I think that's a positive thing. He's 31 years old now, and I feel like if Tim Tebow can be given an opportunity after sitting on the bench, after not playing football at all, and he's switching positions at that, to come back and play football. I feel like if players like Dez Bryant, Aldon Smith, and whoever it is can come back, even Antonio Brown, can sit out for X amount of time, or these players can just take a hiatus from the game for X amount of years and be given a serious opportunity to play, why not Justin Blackmon? I mean, for all we know, he's in tip-top condition. And my thing is, he's one of those players that, say he came into camp, on a tryout and he's 235 pounds. Okay, he's a little heavy for a wide receiver. But I might need a tight end. Justin Blackmon we know he can catch. And wide receivers by trade can block at least DBs. So you might have something there as well. I just don't throw anything out on that situation. Now, earlier I did say that a lot of things will happen in the NBA. In the last episode, the play-in tournament had just started. And this is interesting. So I am a Miami Heat fan, as I have stated on this show many, many times. And I will admit I was hyped up when I learned that we were going to be taking on the Milwaukee Bucks, mainly because we've had their number in recent games this season, and we're down 2-0 right now. We are getting like I'm not worried at the moment. But the next two games are going to be on our home floor. And if we don't win one of those games, I'm going to be seriously scared. I mean, here's the deal. If we get swept, we're going to see a huge roster change. I think Jimmy, Bam, and really that's about it, honestly. I mean, I want to say Tyler and I want to say Tyler Hero as well as Duncan Robinson are safe. They might be. And maybe Kendrick Nunn. But everyone else is kind of on the block. I mean, the reason I don't count certain players is because, certain guys are known to be staying. Udonis Haslem, he's going nowhere. He's Mr. Miami. He's not going anywhere. We're keeping him. He's staying. It doesn't make a difference. He's staying, whether it be as a coach or a player. He's not leaving Miami. Played college ball in Miami, played his whole career in Miami. He's not leaving Miami. He's staying. But a lot of players could be on the chopping block. Precious Achiuwa, even though he's been absolutely great for us this year, if he doesn't show more improvement next year, he might be on the block. This year, Tyler Hero had a sophomore slump, which we don't see very often anymore. But I think that this was his sophomore slump year. He wasn't doing very well, and Duncan Robinson showed up. At times, I still think he needs to get better defensively. We saw bits and pieces of Kendrick Nunn. We saw more of him last year than we did this year, and I think he fell out of rotation for a little while, mainly due to his inability to get back on defense. And honestly, he's one of those players who can shoot you out of a game just as well as he can keep you in it as well. So he's kind of he's kind of a high-low kind of guy. We'll see what happens with that. But I'm going to leave my heat alone right now. We're getting ready for our next 2 games. Hopefully we can at least get one at home. I want us to make a series of this because I don't know if I put it on the show or not, but I called for Miami in 7 because I respect Giannis. But I didn't think that we'd start the series off by losing both games. I didn't think that was going to happen. But, hey, whatever. In other news, more interesting news, we're going to take it to the West Coast because what's happening on the East, everything is kind of, set up. We thought this, this kind of obvious. Philadelphia is going to beat the Wizards. Maybe not in 4. Maybe not in 4. They might be in 5. I give the Wizards 1 game at the very least. Brooklyn is more than likely going to sweep Boston because, like I said in the last episode, whomever won the game between Boston and Washington for the play-in was going to get the honor of being swept by the Brooklyn Nets, and that's probably what's getting ready to happen because they just got shellacked in this last game. Now over to the West, the Phoenix Suns took game 1 and the LA just took game 2. Now, personally, if I'm putting money on this, and I'm not a betting man, I'm more about team ball. So I believe more in the Phoenix Suns than I do the Lakers. But here's one thing the Lakers have on their side: superstar treatment. They can get away with almost anything, and LeBron might be the greatest actor in NBA history. LeBron James, I know you don't watch this show because I ain't big enough, but I'm going to go ahead and say it right now, bro. Get your big behind about that floor. Ain't nobody touched you. Cut it out. Adam Silver, for the love of God, please, please, please enforce the rule of these fines for flopping because no one flops more than LeBron James. No one flops more than this man. I'm telling you, man, every time you look around, the man hits the floor more than WWE wrestlers. It makes no sense at all for him to hit the floor like that. And he always holding something. I seen the man fake a shoulder injury the other night. That don't make no sense. He too big for that. All this because he shot a free throw and Chris Paul gave him a slight bump. Wasn't even really a bump for real. LeBron just threw his body over top of somebody. Didn't even hit his shoulder on the way down. He just grabbed it, rolled, and acted like he was in pain. Almost caused an entire fight because he just wanted to lay down for a second. LeBron, you got to cut that out, man. For real. This is part of your legacy. Come on, man. Like, your legacy is becoming a joke now. Like, you have your followers, like Jordan has his followers, and all the greats have their followers. But seriously, this has become ridiculous. Like people are like, I'm not a hater, but even I'm starting to, call you LaFlop. This is bad. Like, I don't have this kind of opinion of players, and you're pulling this out of me. You feel me? That's bad, man. Like, LeBron, cut it out, dude. To me, the most interesting series going on right now is probably Denver and Portland. Even though I still got Portland pulling this out, I mean, the basketball, the coach in me is pulling for Denver. But it's really hard for me to believe that Denver can pull this out without Jamal Murray on the floor. But the series is tied 1-1 right now, so it can go either way at this very moment. We're going to see what happens. Utah is playing Memphis, and Ja Morant is showing everybody that Ja Morant is putting the league on notice right now. He's for real, and he is Memphis basketball. So they're going to be dangerous going forward. And this is probably the most interesting one, in my opinion, altogether. To me, just in general, the Western Conference is much more interesting than the Eastern Conference playoffs. So those Clippers are looking more and more fraudulent every single time I see them play. Now, the first game, Luka Tebowed them. And if you haven't seen the movie Friday, you've been sleeping under a rock. I don't know what's going on with you, but go see Friday. It's a classic. Then you know who Tebow is. The Clippers are literally debowing. I'm sorry. The Clippers are getting debowed by Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks. Now, you recall that I did call for Luka to win the MVP this year. Now, he's not going to win the MVP, but there's going to be a serious change in the Clippers as well if they get swept. Now, I don't have them getting swept. I got them at least getting one game because right now, look, I don't know if it's a chemistry issue. I don't know if it's a coaching issue. Who knows, man? Maybe Paul George really is just trash in the playoffs. Who knows? I mean, you would think Kawhi would be able to take over late in the game, which he hasn't been doing that well for some reason. I think he's trying to lean on Paul George, which is the worst idea ever. He's not the guy to lean on, which I get it. They brought him there to pair up two of the best wing defenders in the league playing on the same team. You got defense, and they both are capable of getting their own shots. I get the idea. I get the concept. I was all for it. But I didn't think Paul George would disappear. There used to be this narrative that Skip Bayless used to throw out there, as well as Stephen A. Smith, by the way, about LeBron James shrinking in the fourth quarter with games on the line, especially in the playoffs. Well, Paul George doesn't shrink. He just don't come out at all. He disappears. He evaporates. I don't know what's up with that. Playoff P, pandemic P, as they call him. I don't really care what it is. Kawhi Leonard got to get his stuff together too. That team needs a third best man. Like they need a third player who can actually get their own basket. Like if they can have someone consistently put up about 15 to 20 points, they were hoping it was going to be Reggie Jackson, but Reggie Jackson's been on and off. They don't have that third player right now. They needed a point guard, and they thought they got their guy. But not. It's a weird situation. On the other side of that, the Dallas Mavericks, continuity, Kleber, Brunson, Porzingis, of course, Luka the Doncic. As my man Jalen Rose like to say, call him Luka the Don, Luka Doncic. That's my guy. And like the team has continuity. They've been together for a while. They're not changing coaches. They know what they're doing. They know who the star is. They know who can get their baskets. They know who needs help. And they know how to play together as a team. So I got them going. Like I got Clippers taking one game. So it's going to be 5-1. Okay? That's what's going to happen with that one. If I had to choose a finals matchup, I'm not going to do that right now. I'm not that foolish. But let's go back on to the East. Philadelphia beats Washington. It's going to be 5-1. New York. I think that New York Atlanta is going to be the most interesting first round matchup in the East. Mainly because while New York didn't play but so well in the first game, I think Julius Randle and the Knicks bounce back and they take game 2. I think that's going to be the one that goes 7 games in the East because both of these teams look like they could be, like even though they're 4th and 5th seed, both of these teams are the kind of teams that you would look at and go, one of them is going to get bounced in the second round. But who is it going to be? It can go either way. But judging from that first game, Ice Trae and the Hawks ain't going nowhere. I can't say what he said, on this show, but he did say something to the effect of, ooh, it's quiet as I don't know what in here. It's quiet as you know what. Like, they was loud at first, and that New York crowd is real disrespectful. But, hey, Ice Trae shut him up, though. Hey. Woo, Trae Young, he ain't nothing to mess with. That boy for real. Now, this show is called Hot Takes. And usually I have a really big time hot take. So I'm going to give you a flurry of hot takes right quick. So like I said earlier, personally, I got Julio Jones landing with a team like Baltimore. Maybe even, I didn't say this earlier, but maybe even Tennessee or Las Vegas. But Arizona's out of the question. I don't think they can do the cap that way. But yeah, if I had to say one of them 3 teams, I got Julio Jones landing in, I'm going to be nice. I got him landing in Las Vegas. Las Vegas could use a wide receiver right now. So I got him ended up, I'm going to say he's going to go to the Raiders. That's probably all off, but I'm going to stick to that. Julio Jones to the Raiders. Like I said earlier, Aaron Rodgers to the Broncos. If he doesn't go to the Broncos, he either retires or he finds a way to work it out with the Packers. I doubt he'll do that because the man holds a real big grudge. So I'm gonna say Aaron Rodgers to the Broncos. Tim Tebow will not touch the field as a Jacksonville Jaguar at the tight end position as a starter at any given time this year. As a matter of fact, if he does play, it'll be a gadget play. He's an H-back. He's positionless. They're going to put him wherever and see how that works out. Pretty much they're just going to throw some mud at the wall and see what sticks. All right? And, of course, the only 7-game series that will be in the first round will be New York, Atlanta. And I have Atlanta edging out the New York Knicks. It's their first year being relevant again, and I think they got a really good base going. They're going to be all right as long as they keep this going. Tom Thibodeau really did deserve to be the coach of the year, even though he didn't get it. I think that he really did deserve it because not only did he take the lowly New York Knicks and bring them back into being relevant, he went from like not even being thought of as a playoff team to literally the 4th seed. So that's something to really be, that's something to marvel at. That's some really good coaching. Whew, I'm out of breath. I barely breathed through this whole situation. I basically did a whole paragraph. Like I just gave you everything I had. So yeah, those are my hot takes. So this week you got multiple hot takes. We'll see if anything happens. Oh, matter of fact, here's the big hot take. Provided the Dallas Mavericks make it all the way through, and I doubt they're going to do that, but if they make it all the way through to the finals, Dallas wins the championship. Luka will be the finals MVP. I'm going to double down on that. If they get to the finals, if the Dallas Mavericks get to the finals, Luka and the Mavericks win the championship, and Luka is going to be the finals MVP. All right, folks, that's been another episode of Hot Takes. Join me next week, same time, same place. Until then, peace.